Hello everyone, welcome to Simply Clouded. My name is Ashish Jain. I am your trainer for the day, and today we are going to learn a new topic in Google Cloud. It is called Google Cloud Spanner. For everyone who has an AWS background, this is very similar to Amazon AWS Aurora. Let's learn what is Google Cloud Spanner. We'll divide the topic in two parts, and the tutorial will first deal with what is Google Cloud Spanner. Google Cloud Spanner होता क्या है, वो करता क्या है, and then we'll perform a simple lab, which every one of you can perform with me. It is going to be super easy, super simple, but will help concrete our concept in our mind. पहले भाग में हम समझते हैं Cloud Spanner होता क्या है. So what is Google Cloud Spanner? First of all, it is very different from Cloud SQL. Cloud SQL एक traditional database होता है. In Cloud SQL or Cloud SQL, you can select the infrastructure needs, the types, the machine size. But the point is that your database relies on or lies on one single machine at the back end. Cloud Spanner is more of a node architecture. It has worker nodes working for itself, therefore automatically giving you horizontal scaling. So Spanner is a distributed SQL database management service and storage service developed by Google. So what do you mean by database management? It means it lets you create instances, databases, and also lets you store huge amounts of data and query on it. So there you go. Cloud Spanner can be considered a replacement for traditional SQL. In a traditional SQL, how will you scale? So if you have n number of queries, which is a threshold for your queries, and if the users in a peak load hour cross that threshold, you'll have to do manual intervention, go and scale your machine, make it a bigger machine, or do some kind of a vertical scaling or a horizontal scaling based on your requirements. In Cloud Spanner, the horizontal scaling is simple. It has minimal intervention. All you have to do is you have to increase the number of nodes. So let's say 5 nodes are working to meet the query needs on Cloud Spanner. In case the queries pass the threshold and your machine is overloaded, all you have to do is you have to change one digit from 5 nodes to, let's say, 7 nodes or 8 nodes or whatever. And the whole instance or the system will be scaled automatically. So Spanner is mainly used for massive scale application. It is not used as for smaller databases. Smaller databases, Cloud SQL is any day better. The main use cases include financials and inventory applications. We'll perform a lab now. I hope the Cloud Spanner concept is clear, but this tutorial is mainly about performing the lab. And once you perform the lab, you'll have more clarity on how to use it. If you need to understand the concepts in more detail, write out to me and I'll create a video specifically going deep into the concepts of Cloud Spanner. The lab tasks will include having a GCP console trial account. You can create your own free trial accounts. Google Cloud gives $300 worth of credits to new users. We'll create a Cloud Spanner instance. We'll create a Spanner database. So one instance can have multiple Spanner databases. Then we'll create a table inside a Spanner database. So one database can have multiple tables. I hope you all know that, or you can brush up your database skills. And then we'll try to insert some data, some sample data using SQL query. And then we'll try to read that data using SQL queries. So the end result or the deliverable of this lab would be us getting a successful query result. I'm going to pause that video for a second and I'll set up my lab and I'll be right with you. So this is our lab. We'll try to create a provisioned instance in the Spanner detail page. I have used the search bar to reach the Spanner service. You can also go into the navigation menu. When you come to the Spanner page, if you haven't already created one instance, you will create one provisioned instance using this button, create a provisioned instance. Once I click on this, I will be taken to a form, a detail page where I'll have to fill out certain details. I'll fill out the details now. So I'll call it Simply Clouded Admin. So since I told you you can have multiple databases inside one Spanner instance, it is better to have one instance per account per region or whatever. It totally depends on your requirement. I am going to name it Simply Clouded Admin. Make sure the instance name and instance ID is same. Here I have mentioned the instance name and it has automatically taken the instance ID. I will keep most of the settings as default. I'll keep the configuration regional. So multi-region and regional. Multi-region would be having redundancy. It will have copies of the database in a different region as well. It is just for production loads. For sample, we'll just create a regional one. This is far too high. I'll just keep 100 processing units because we have to run a very simple query. We'll not touch any other setting and we'll just click on create. We'll just select the configuration as US Central. Let's select US Central Bank. Great. I'll pause the video now and I'll let the instance create. My instance has been created. It has the name Simply Clouded Admin. It has 100 processing units. And for now, you see that the nodes are 0. So now we will create our first database. Let's go ahead and create one. Again, the database will take me to a form where I have to give details. So I'll call it Simply Clouded DB. So I can select the database engine. For now, I'm selecting Google Cloud Standard SQL, and I will just click on create. Let me pass the schema as well. So I'm going to pause the video. To the place where it asks me to define my schema for the database, I have passed a DDL command. Now this command will create a table called employee underscore details, and it will have an ID field, which is an integer field, and a name field, which is a string field, and the primary key will be ID. So it's a basic employee details table, and it'll have details of an employee such as ID, employee ID, and name. I have passed the name of the database as Simply Clouded DB, and I will click on create. It takes some time for the database to get created, so I am just going to pause the video and I'll come back once the table has been created. So the database has been created. The name of the database, as you can see, is Simply Clouded DB. Database dialect is Google Standard SQL, and the table employee underscore details has also been created under the Google Cloud Simply Clouded DB instance. We'll go to the table and we'll verify the schema according to our DDL command if it has created it correctly or not. So I'll just click on schema here, and if you can see, there's one column and then there's this primary key icon that signifies that the ID column is the primary key. And then there is a name column, which is a string field, and both are nullable. See, ideally, the primary key is never nullable, but just for the demo purposes, I have created it that way. Now you will go to query and you will try to insert some data. So the data insert query will be the standard SQL format. We have the insert query right here. We'll just pass the query to the insert format. And again, if you've seen my BigQuery tutorial, this automatic validation of query happens both in BigQuery as well as in Spanner query. And once I run this, it will insert data into my table. I will let it run. So 4 rows inserted by your query. You can see that 4 rows have been inserted, and 1, 2, 3. So I have also added 4 values. These are key value pairs. So ID is the first value and name is the second value. All I have to do is I have to query the data from the table. So my data query would be the select query. Here, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to select names of all employees, order by ID descending. Descending means 4, 3, 2, 1. So if I run the selected query, which is already valid, I can see the first is Rachel, which is 4, Linda, Lewis, Martha. If I want to see it along with their names, I will just replace this with an asterisk and I would run this, and you can see that IDs are listed. Of course, I can have where clauses for filtering out my results. But this is how you create a Cloud Spanner instance. This is how you insert data into it, and this is how you run select queries. So this was a basic tutorial. Of course, there are deep dives and advanced level Spanner services and features that you can learn. For now, try out this lab. If you have any doubts, reach out to me via email, and I will leave the link to my channel and other videos in the description. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for following Simply Clouded.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe for more such videos at Simply Clouded. To subscribe our channel, please hit the bell icon at the bottom.